This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I have a three-time guest, 39 years old.
One more
Folks,
time.
I give you the screenwriter of Friday the 13th. I'm wearing the old shirt here.
Yes, sir.
Victor Miller back for a third time. How'd you do, Victor?
Um, well, let's see. I think I'm on day 9 of my second year of captivity. My wife and I hit 365, I think, last week, towards the end of last week, and then now we're off again. But let's see, I'm 1 week shy of having all of my injections sort of accepted or whatever. So I'll be able to go and spray germs everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where does an 80-year-old man go to spread germs?
I thought you were 39, man.
That was you being kind. Let's talk about comedy.
We're going to talk about comedy. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Because I remember I've interviewed you twice and you get a lot of stuff about Friday the 13th. But one thing that stood out to me when we talked, I think last time, is that somebody on a podcast had recommended that you watch one of the other films.
Yeah.
And you did. And, it was what it was. I don't remember what part you said it was, but and I was like, man, had it been me, I would have recommended the sixth entry because it's funny. Yeah, this one right here.
Well, I would have to have seen it or heard about
Hmm.
it from you
Yeah.
for me to have chosen that one to watch.
Well, you know what? I recommend this one if you like comedy.
All right.
Yep. I tell you, it opens up with Horseshack from Welcome Back, Cotter. How serious can you get?
Sounds okay to me.
And there's got a paintball scene in it that is one of the funniest things I've seen in a horror film, period.
And this is number 6.
Number 6.
All right.
It's got Tom Matthews in it, and Jeepers, it had a car chase in it, which was a first for this franchise. Yep. But it's very tongue in cheek, and what Tom McLaughlin wanted to do when he made it,
Right.
he wanted to go back to the old Frankenstein, old monster movies. Because when Jason comes out of the grave at the beginning, it was an homage to Frankenstein
Right.
with the whole lightning bolt hitting, and
Yeah.
this and that. That was what he was aiming for with that. And so there's like a lot of like Karloff's General Store in it, which of course reference to Boris Karloff. He
Right.
does a lot of stuff like that, and so that would be the one I'd recommend if you like comedy. You get a paintball scene in it where a guy, almost a Woody Allen looking guy who I've had on the show, he puts his hand on a branch and it breaks off and he picks it up and tries to put the branch back on the tree. That is in that movie.
Okay.
And it doesn't take away from any of the scare factors, but that would be the one if you wanted to see comedy. But like yourself, I love comedy. Who
Yes.
doesn't like to laugh? I mean, I envy you. You get to work with Caddy McLean, Adrian King. I would have had hearts floating around my head thinking about that. But
Uh,
but but I noticed on your screenwriting credits, you were involved in jury duty.
no, I had a jury duty before Paulie, what's his name, had a jury duty.
Oh, okay.
It got bought. I sold it to Alan Ladd Productions, and they never made it.
Oh, they
So
never made it.
my jury duty was the first, but it didn't get made. And then there was the other jury duty, I guess, was what's his
Well,
name?
I heard the jury duty with Pauly Shore's nothing to be excited about anyway. So
Oh, that's his life. But I at least I made some money that year. So
there you go. Well, I can't blame you for loving comedy. I don't have a top 10 comedy list in front of me. I thought we'd talk about yours, but I'm going to tell you, you had a lot on your list that I would probably have had on my list anyway, you know? And there's a few here. I'm going to minimize the screen here so that I can look at these. Okay. There's a couple of these I'd never heard of before.
Namely?
The first one here is Inspector General. I know the name. I've heard the name.
Yeah.
Tell me about the film and why that's on your list.
Well, the Inspector General, if I remember correctly, was Danny Kaye.
Okay.
And it is a Russian comedy about this small town, and I cannot remember even any of the rest of the plot, but I just howled over it. And then I saw it, let's see, Bill Francisco directed it on stage at Yale when I was there. And it's very funny play and movie. But it's basically the entire town goes crazy over this Inspector General who's actually a phony. He's not the real, but everybody's kowtowing to this guy who's running a scam.
Okay.
Correctly. So that's why it's first on my list, because it's the oldest one I can think of other than Duck Soup.
I love Duck Soup. But what year did that first film come out?
Inspector General, I would say somewhere in the 50s with Danny Kaye. I would have to look up IMDb.
Okay, on the 50. Well, Duck Soup came out in 33. I know that.
Right, yeah. And
I have seen Duck Soup. I know that's on your list. And Groucho Marx always makes me laugh.
He doesn't have to do a thing. He can just be on screen. I mean, there are some people who can just do that. And now I really enjoyed the Inspector General as a kid, and why I would remember it, other than I like Danny Kaye, and he was kind of broad about it, and Duck Soup, of course. The plot, such as it was, I mean, if you look carefully at all of these, somebody in power is being made fun of. And that's my sense of humor. To me, that the slapstick is always that the mayor or the king or somebody, he gets the what do you call it, the pie in the face. And it's always bringing down that some sort of authority figure and showing them for the fools they are, and for the people who bow and scrape to those, they're always idiots. And I think that just is my attitude. Look at, I mean, number 7 here, Airplane, makes fun of every bit of movie history that I can remember. Because I went to, my brother and I went to the movies every Saturday. My mother would drop us off and we'd run over to the window and say, when does it get out? And she'd say 4:32, and I'd run back to my mother's car and say 4:32, and we would sit there, and there'd be some kind of mystery movie and then a comedy, and but there was a sense that I sided with the side of insanity, versus my father, who was as straight a human being as you could ever. He was a commander in the Navy and the Atlantic and the Pacific. And I think he looked at his children and just thought we were all absolutely nuts. And I guess that's what you do if you have a father in the service, because you're always looking for the clown to come out and bring a cream pie. But that's, let's see, in the horse's mouth.
Well, going back to Duck Soup, one of the things I remember about that, there's a scene in it that I've seen copied and mimicked so many times. The scene where you got Groucho Marx and you got the fake Groucho Marx, and they walk in front of this door, and they do the whole mirror thing, even though they're in front of a door. And that, I gotta say, for the people want their CGI, that was beyond CGI. That took a lot of skill to do that, and it shows too what a physical comedian Groucho Marx
Right.
was. I remember one joke. I think this was a Night of the Opera, where you see he's introduced. He's sitting at a table. He's watching these uh people talk. They're talking, and then suddenly this waiter comes over and he turns around. His date's just sitting there, and they hand him the bill, and he goes, $6 for dinner. If I were you, I wouldn't pay it.
But I think people who like comedies really don't like authority figures.
No.
We always want the tall person dragged down. And there's something, I'm sorry, I'm sure it's a psychiatric deformity of mine, but that my mother was an authoritarian, my father was an authoritarian, and we were, they were too volatile to fuck with. So if I had to find them out in the fun land, like on the television, which we finally got in like 1951 or 52, and the movies, if there was comedies, and I liked the crazy, absurd movies much more than the features that went with them, which was usually Dane Clark and in a very sort of film noir-y thing, and I didn't get scared, but I wanted stupid. There's
Well,
something about stupid that makes me feel warm and cuddly.
I gotta say, I love duck soup. I think that was a great choice on your list. Now, the horse's mouth is the other one on here I've never heard of before. Tell me
Really,
about that.
it is a genius movie. It's Alec Guinness
Mm-hmm.
as a painter, but he's not just not little miniatures. He he sees huge canvases that he has no right to. I mean, so he see, and his eyes go round and round and round as he looks up at the side of a church, um, and he goes, oh, and then he gets all of his friends to help him or whatever, and he starts doing these amazing paintings that are just absolutely wacky, wild, and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And they're as big as the back of a church.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's a church that's about to be run down, but somebody's mad at it and whatnot. And so the next thing you hear is the sound of a bulldozer coming through the church and the entire facade crawling. And then, of course, the bricks all fall, and it's actually your painter, the painter himself driving it, because he's the only one who's authorized to destroy his own work. And he's uncontrollable, he's crazy, and he's genius. And at one point, he hears that these wealthy people are going to be in France for the month, and so he finds a way into their house.
Mm-hmm.
And then a friend of his who's a sculptor says, "Oh, can I use one of the floors in the house?" And he says, "Sure. I mean, this is the rich people's house." And so there's a huge block of marble that's lowered in through the glass ceiling, and of course it goes through one floor down to the other and destroys half the. I mean, so it's absolute madness. And then so there's this guy who's doing this, and of course our artist Alec Guinness is painting this incredible wall with all this sort of odd, wonderful art with a big, huge African-American foot coming down, and it's just wild. And of course, then he goes, he says, he looks at the statue that the kid's been working on for 3 or 4 weeks, and the sculptor says, what does this say to you? And Guinness looks at it and he says, he says, I'm getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's total, just absolute craziness. He's chased by the police and everybody else. And at the end of the movie, and of course, there's the Lieutenant Kiji suite is this wonderful, I think, Prokofiev thing that is this mad piece of music. And he's on his own little boat going down the river, and he sees this giant steamship coming along with this huge gray surface, and he's doing this. But so it's absolute total absurdity. It's a man who destroys property, pays no attention to anything, lies, cheats, steals, and he's adorable.
It's funny because when you mentioned him, I was just looking on here. It's like, what's the name of that movie? What's the name of that movie? Another funny movie that Alec Guinness was in was The Lavender Hill Mob.
Oh, yeah.
That last scene paints quite the picture about what's really going on.
I mean, it just, I guess my idol would be any of the jokers in a monarchy who would actually fuck with the king. You know, and not get his head cut off. But
Yeah.
And a sense of humor. It's to poke, you know, I mean, it's like, evidently Donald Trump didn't like that sort of humor.
No.
But it's, you know, it is my great delight to take big phonies and blow them up. But such is life. And unfortunately, you know, I've said in a lot of interviews, I'd rather have written Airplane than Friday the 13th, because it's just so silly. And I'm just a very silly human.
I'll be frank with you, and this is not your fault, but I lost a lot of respect for Friday the 13th when I found out they had killed a real snake in that movie.
Me too. It did not call for that.
They see this film here. It's called I Drink Your Blood.
Yeah.
It's a 1971 movie. I got this signed by Lynn Laurie. They had live rats in this movie, and they were all trained by this one woman. Not one rat that is seen killed in the movie was actually killed. If they did that in 1971, Sean S. Cunningham has no excuse in Friday the 13th. They could have had Harry Crosby bring that machete down and that
react off camera. I mean, that's the way it was written. I mean, I didn't, and it's embarrassingly graphic. I mean, it's so simply stupid.
Yep. Oh, it's not your fault.
No.
It's Sean. And if I ever see him at a convention, I'm going to bring this up to him.
Well, I'm not sure it'll be worth your effort, but hey.
Well, you know what? Cannibal Holocaust did that to several animals.
Oh.
Yep. Cannibal Holocaust came out the same year as Friday the 13th. They killed a snake. They killed a turtle. They killed a bird. Let me see what else. They killed a monkey. It was the actual animals were killed.
Well, my response, my footnote to all of what you just said is, when you have Harry Savini, why are you killing a snake?
Yeah, Tom Savini.
Tom Savini.
Yeah.
Harry Savini, you know, whatever.
So and not only that, there were several of the kills that happened off screen. Harry Crosby, Laurie Bartram, Mark Nell, their characters were all killed off screen.
Right, yeah.
So why kill the snake on screen? It makes me wince when I see that scene now, you know?
I have the same reaction every time.
Yep. And
let's go to The Jerk.
The Jerk. I've got that here on Blu-ray.
The Jerk, with the glasses, the optograb, and they hate these cans, these oil cans, and they're shooting the things, and that awful woman on the motorcycle.
I interviewed her.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Catlin Adams. Yeah, I interviewed her for the anniversary of The Jerk in 2019. Lovely woman. She told me about the time that her son had seen the movie when their class watched it. She was like, her son was pretty silent. And she going, "What?" And she goes, "We watched a movie. We watched The Jerk."
Oh,
I'll
God.
tell you a little story about her.
Ah,
She said when she auditioned for that film, she was allowed to do what she wanted. So she literally grabbed Steve Martin and kind of thrashed him around because she was playing this kind of
right. Yeah,
dominatrix.
yeah.
And she said that Steve Martin was just loving this. And that was kind of how she got the
Yeah,
part. She
yeah.
said she almost killed him on a motorcycle accidentally.
I don't doubt it.
But oh my goodness, like I love that line when you see the carriage rocking in the
Oh, yeah.
fairground and goes, "There's my name tattooed right there on your ass next to the date. Wow. First I get my name on the in the phone book, then it's on your ass. You know, I bet more people see that than the phone book."
Well,
Yeah, she was a delight to interview, I'll tell
there's
you
one
that.
scene that I mean, because most of these movies, my sons are, let's see, 50 and late 40s, and we watched all these movies together.
Uh-huh.
And anytime there's a Thanksgiving or a dinner with, because we all live around each other, and we just quote lines from all these movies, but and from like oh God, um, we're just about to start the robbery proper. Uh, um, the lines of, oh, he hates these. What is the, from the jerk?
Oh yeah,
He hates these
cans.
cans. He hates these cans. Um, and what else? Oh God, why did I not put that on?
I I just find it funny that Emmett Walsh was just having such a bad day. He just happened to point to Nathan Johnson in the phone book, who was Steve Martin's character, and he decides he's
right.
going to take him out. You know, we find out later he's just trying to quit smoking. But I love that he fires the gun and then the can springs a leak there, and
Yep.
yeah, and of course Jackie Mason goes, "He's not trying to put holes in the can; he's trying to put holes in you."
Well, the movie that I didn't have on this that we used to watch every Thanksgiving was Raising Arizona, um, and that was the line that anytime we're about to have lunch together as a family or whatever, one of us will say, "Well, we're just about to start the robbery proper."
Hmm.
And all those great lines from all that Banks hold up. And uh, I don't, they're no, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn about all of the straight movies, that's, but I love laughing.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because you mentioned Raising Arizona. I think my favorite Coen Brothers movie, and I think Raising Arizona is great, but is The Big Lebowski.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen it?
Oh, many times. Yes.
Love The
Yeah.
Big Lebowski. The
Actually,
dude.
the big, the Big Lebowski had more thinky things in it.
Hmm.
Whereas Raising Arizona was just perfect, and
Yeah.
uh, of course, the guy catching the fly and Mr. Nathan Arizona and oh God, and just um, the another one of my sons will always be willing to say, uh, these balloons blow up in any funny shapes? Well, not unless round's funny. And it's just, these are the glue that held our family together. We just liked stupid a lot.
I love that. Yeah, the jerk. We just recently lost Carl Reiner too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he lived to be a good old age, but of
Oh,
course he was the director of the jerk
yeah.
and was the one who was cross-eyed and ended up taking Steve Martin to court because he couldn't call cut in time.
The
Oh.
other thing I can say about Carl Reiner is my first job out of college, I worked for Benton and Bowles Advertising on Madison Avenue. Well, not, it was on Fifth Avenue then, 666
Mhm.
Fifth Avenue. And my job in the TV programming department was to read the scripts of all the shows that we had bought minutes in. In those days, the advertisers had very much more clout. There was a thing called product protection. And
Mhm.
now I just see, back-to-back auto ads by different companies and all kinds of other things. There used to be a rule that the advertising agencies and the TV guys all went along with, was you couldn't have Cadillac and a Ford without, like at least a half an hour in between them.
Okay.
Because it was totally to protect the advertiser. That's all it was about. And I was to read the scripts, write a synopsis of every one of them, of all the shows we had minutes in.
Mhm.
And if there were any problems for taste and policy, for instance, we were in, oh God, there was a hospital show, The Naked City or one of those. And the one of the plots was about fertility or abortion or something like that. And I had to send in a piece of paper to the guy in Hollywood who said, General Foods or whoever the hell we had is not going to put up with that. So we'll take our minutes off it because they had a lot of clout. But the reason I bring this up is that we had a major sponsorship in the Dick Van Dyke Show. And Carl Reiner's, I would get the first draft from like these two guys who were comedy writers, and then I would get the rewritten version from Carl Reiner. The guy fucking made it sing. I mean, he was just a genius at all levels of comedy, and I wish there had been more chances for people to see that he wasn't just funny. I mean, he was a
Mhm.
genius. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you mentioned Gone with the Wind earlier, and what's gone on with cancel culture. I'm getting tired of cancel culture, and it's like I wonder, the jerk. I don't think would survive cancel culture. Like,
really,
I mean, the film opens with Steve Martin, of course, say the famous line, "I was born a poor black child," and of course, you could just see some idiot out there just, "Oh, we better cancel this," even
yeah,
though it's a great movie.
yeah.
But people have no sense of context or nuance anymore, if I may quote Dave McRae.
And what's his line in the movie? I found my special purpose.
Found my special purpose. Yep,
But yeah, we go through these periods. Um,
of
and it was,
stupidity.
believe me, it was much worse in 1962 and 63 when I was cleaning up the scripts
Hmm.
and making sure America was protected against bad things.
Holy cow. Yeah, I don't know. But no, The Jerk, I think, was a great movie, and we can't understate Bernadette Peters in this movie either.
Oh,
She's so good in this movie, you know.
and I was never a big fan of hers, but in the movie, I just adore her. So I mean, she pulled that one off.
Well, I love it when Steve Martin goes, he's going to leave, but he says he doesn't need anything, but on his way out, he's got like an armload of stuff.
But yes, I mean that when we send the kids out after Thanksgiving or something, they're taking pots and whatnot. I just need this and the chair and this dog.
And then the dog growls, "Okay, I don't need my dog."
And we haven't even done the Brits yet when, Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That's my favorite Monty Python movie.
Oh,
Is
God.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I think that movie is easily in my top 5 funniest, if not my top 3.
Yeah,
And we just recently lost Terry Jones.
right.
I mean, him in drag. It's one of the funniest things. I'm like, why wasn't this guy on the cover of Playboy?
Well, what is, my favorite section is the John, what's his name?
John Cleese.
John Cleese uh, cutting the guy up or being cut up. Come back.
John Cleese was
Fight like a
the
man, the
Black
Black Knight.
Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. Fight like a man. And it's just
Goes,
this little thing.
just this flesh wound.
Yeah.
You got no arms. Yes, I do.
Come back.
What you gonna
Oh,
do? Bleed on me? Of course, Graham Chapman, and of course
oh,
Terry Gilliam, who went on to be a great director
right.
with the coconuts instead of the horse sound. You hear the coconuts, you know.
I went with my two sons when it first came out at a movie theater on I-95 in Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
and they handed out coconut shells at the movie. So we go, that was the first time I'd ever gotten any freebies at the movie theater.
Every Monty Python is so great. I mean, Eric Idle playing the not so brave soldier. He's got a friggin' chicken on his shield, if you notice. And that Neil Innes, of course, who does all the singing in these Monty Python movies, singing a less than encouraging song as Eric Idle is they're going down pretending they're riding horses, and
Yes.
Michael Palin, of course, I mean, even in one of the funniest Michael Palin scenes, of course, was in Life of Brian, where
Right.
he's being told he's got a big nose. There's nothing funnier than getting idle threats from Michael Palin. One more time, I'm gonna blast him one. That's
Uh,
it. That's it. This is your last warning.
oh,
The knights that say knee,
me.
knee, and the killer rabbits.
Oh, no, it's a
Oh man, that
these
movie
are
was
such
so
gifts.
clever.
And don't forget Animal House.
I got an Animal House T-shirt too. I should have
Oh,
had that on instead of Friday the 13th.
Animal
Animal,
Animal House was the definition of a particular decade. I mean,
yep.
that was it. And I'm sure it doesn't go down as one of the best movies in the world, but it certainly told a tale.
I've interviewed 2 people from Animal House.
Uh,
I had Martin Metcalf on here who played Niedermeyer.
oh, I love it.
Yeah, and I had Martha Smith on who played. She was one of the cheerleaders, the one that had the southern accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yep.
one that was in her bra and panties at the end of it there in the car.
Praise the Lord. Yes.
Yeah, I love Animal House. And that and the Blues Brothers when it comes to John Landis and John Belushi. I actually got a Blues Brothers COVID mask.
Very nice.
Yeah, just a second, I'll show it to you. Just hold on.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I got a Jason Friday the 13th hockey mask one. I got this Blues Brothers one, and I'm right now on order. I got a Big Lebowski one on order. There's a couple of Big Lebowski ones. There's one that looks like the rug, and that says this mask really ties my face together. But yeah,
And then don't forget Young Frankenstein.
I think Young Frankenstein is the best Mel Brooks film. The best. I think
Without
that
doubt.
is his
Without doubt.
triumph.
Yeah.
We just lost Cloris Leachman too, not too
Oh
long
yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and she was great in that. Mel Brooks still is still ticking.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I just the there's certain lines like, "Ah, sweet mystery of life, I found you," um, and that incredible what do you call that? That wave of white thing through Cloris Leachman's hair or whatever,
Ye-
whoever it was.
No, it was Madeline Kahn.
Madeline Kahn, yeah,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff was that, and of course, Airplane. What I'm thinking of is I'm talking to you as I'm looking at this list. Um, with a few exceptions, these movies defined my relationship with my two sons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because we were all enthralled by them. I don't, and of course, Monty Python, we all watched together every Sunday night, and it was just unbelievable. And the it's a dead parrot, but and throatwater warbler mangrove was a name of somebody, and I actually called a sloop we owned. I called it throatwater mangrove.
Mm-hmm.
But God, I'm just so glad that nobody burned these up so that we can still watch them,
Yeah. Well,
especially now when everybody's dying.
yeah. Oh, Airplane's fantastic. I did an interview from Airplane too.
Yeah.
Um, Lee Bryant, who was the frantic woman that was with her husband on the plane,
Oh
where
yes.
everybody kept slapping her there at that some point. Yeah, she was wonderful to have on the show,
Yeah.
and she had fun. I loved it. Leslie Nielsen, gives her the extra smack across the head. One of the geniuses with Airplane is that they got all the actors to play it straight, and they
Right.
didn't get comedians.
Nope.
Because this is the first time Leslie Nielsen even did a movie like this. This is the
Yeah.
same year he did Prom Night. So they got people like Leslie Nielsen, Lloyd Bridges, um, Robert Stack, Peter Graves doing all these serious lines. They were serious
Yeah.
actors,
There are
and
all
it
these father
worked.
figures.
Yes. And it's just so many quotable lines. And when it comes down to Abrahams and
Zucker.
Zucker brothers,
Yeah.
you can't count out all three, not just one, but all three Naked Gun movies are terrific.
Right.
And Top Secret.
Yep.
Do you see Top Secret?
Oh, many times.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Val Kilmer's first film. I had a lot of those movies are clever. I miss those too, you know. And it's not like we don't get good comedies today. There are a few. One I would recommend if you haven't seen it is Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
I have not seen that. Yeah. No. Okay.
Okay, it's directed by I think it's Bob Odenkirk directs it.
Oh,
He took an old Hong Kong martial arts movie, got his head digitally put on the hero's body,
oh my God.
and he spoke whatever line of dialogue he is speaking is not what he is saying. Though his mouth moves, and it's done on purpose. I remember
Right.
when I saw this film, people were exiting the movie complaining about it. I got the joke.
Yeah.
Now the film has a cult following, but they have a scene in it where they're making fun of the Matrix. He was told to avoid such and such a place, which I think was a reference to American Werewolf in London, where they say avoid the meadows. And he comes across a cow, and the cow, of course, is digital, and he ends up with a fight with this cow. The cow shoots milk out at him, and he does the whole Matrix things where he goes backwards. But we get to see a cow do a roundhouse kick on him. The cow picks him up and pile drives him. I laughed at that because it was so stupid, but at the same token, that was the point.
Right.
You got the villain in the film. Uh, I don't know whether any of the people that were in the original film are still alive. And if they did, what would they think of the voices? Because you know that Bob Odenkirk is doing all the voices.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you got the villain who normally he's introduced as Master Pain. And he said he doesn't want to be called Master Pain. He wants to be called Betty. And it's got so much foolishness in it that it would be right up your alley. It came out in
Oh yeah.
2002. And like I said, the special effects look bad, but that's part of the point.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the point. And I wish they would do a sequel to it. And I don't know whether they're going to do one or not, but I had a lot of fun with that movie. It
Right.
was just hilarious, and it was so out of whack. And how he's going to beat this guy, and of course the female of the film, the heroine, is one of like the damsel of distress is one you want to flee from. Her dialogue consists of her. I don't know what this means, but she constantly goes, wee, 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 wee.
Well, moving right along.
Oh boy, you got to see that movie, Kung
Yeah,
Pao Enter the Fist.
the last one on my list, not the last on my list, but the one that we have not spoken at all about, which is very different because it is so much more political and sociological, which is Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, something else that I can't believe they haven't tried to cancel today.
Yeah, are we drunk? Are we black? You know,
I love that
here
film.
comes you know, and Camptown races, you know, all that sort of thing. And Cleavon Little was just genius.
Originally, that was supposed to be played by Richard Pryor, who
Right.
was one of the writers, but I don't think the studio let them have him.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love it when things go completely berserk at the end, especially with Dom DeLuise coming into play. You know, this is a closed set.
And he's got the jodhpurs and the beret and the riding crop and the whole thing.
Yep. Yeah, Blazing Saddles is great. That and Young Frankenstein, I think, is Mel Brooks' best. But
Right.
Blazing Saddles and The Producers are both well up there as well. But yeah, Blazing
I'm
Saddles.
amazed at the risks that the studios took with Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
Because that could have gone belly up real fast.
Well, today nobody's taking risk. Like now it's like cancel this, cancel that. You know, movies are going to get less funny because nobody's going to be allowed. We got to make things so your kids can watch them. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have kids. I don't want kids. You know, it's like, does everything have to be done so a 5-year-old can watch it?
Right.
You
And
know,
comedy has to be very close to your skin crawling.
yeah.
It's a very narrow divide in there, which, oh no, I'm afraid you went too far on that one, but you know, but are we drunk? Are we black?
Yep.
That's riding the rail right slip, and somehow they pulled it off, and I think of it as one of the best moments in the movie.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And of course, with the Hitler Youth or whatever those guys, the Nazis and the KKK. Oh God.
Oh yeah, when they were, I love that where Harvey Korman's so great playing Hedy Labour. Headley. Getting
Oh,
all
and
the villains, people that are villains riding up, and
the hangman.
the hangman. Yep. And let's not forget Slim Pickens.
Oh yeah. No.
Would you mind repeating that? And I love them. I forget the name of the actor. Burton, who is it? Gillum, who played the guy who was wearing the black vest and the red shirt that was second to Slim Pickens in it.
Oh, I have vague memory, but not sharp enough on that one. Yeah.
Oh, I forget his name
Can't
because
count faces.
yeah, because he had such great posturing,
Yeah. Yeah.
such great posturing, and the way he was singing that. I'm bringing up Blazing Saddles here now. See if I can get that. See his face come up here because I got to give him proper credit. Oh, Burton Gilliam. Okay, yep, that was it. Played Lyle. Lyle.
Oh
There
yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And you also had, of course, I noticed on your list, When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. And that's simply because of that scene in the diner.
Actually,
Uh,
to correct, Kung Pao was in. It was directed by Steve Odekirk, not Bob. Steve Odekirk. Okay, I'll have to send you a link to that
oh, please do.
because I think you would find that quite hysterical. Kung Pao Under the Fist. It's if you like crazy, ridiculous comedies, I think you would get a kick out of that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that was
But
pretty
when Harry
funny.
Met Sally was just that everybody loves that scene where I'll have what she's having. Um, because she's faking an orgasm at the table.
Yep. Well, he said that Billy Crystal said, you couldn't fool me, you couldn't fake it with me, I could tell. Well,
Okay.
Meg Ryan's defining moment.
I'm running out of time here,
You're
but
running out of time.
I'm running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Have we covered everything?
We have covered everything. Yes.
Yes, we have.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned earlier the whole pie in the face thing. I've been throwing out a charity challenge called the Doubtfire Face Challenge for suicide and depression awareness.
Uh-huh.
And I've had a few guests do that where they take a pie in the face and they nominate three people. And Adrienne King's been nominated 5 times now, and she said she's going to do it eventually. Speaking of Friday the 13th.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a number of people on I don't know, IMing or whatever that thing is, who have taken an intense dislike to me for the lawsuit because they can't play their video games. So I'm sure they're people to vote that I need the pie, but
No, I don't think that's your fault. I
I
think
don't
people are
either.
starting to, yeah, that's not your fault, you know. But I'm glad we're on here today talking about comedy, something nicer.
Oh yeah.
You know, when the lawsuit's settled, the lawsuit's settled. I mean, it hasn't stopped me from enjoying the films, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, but no, you're right. It is not your fault, and I love I love the kind of movies that you like that you put on your list. I'll have to
Oh,
send you some links.
please do.
Some of
Yes.
these movies, like even films like Office Space. Have you seen Office Space?
It's vaguely familiar, but I don't know. Can't say.
That was really funny.
Mm,
I'll have to send you some like trailers and stuff, and then you can check them up if they're on Netflix or whatever streaming service you have, because
okay.
I think it would be great to introduce you to some of these. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you on for a third time and exploring your love for comedy. Am I the first one to do that?
Yeah, oh, totally. I mean, I am only known as, I used to do interviews with fan magazines for when I was working in daytime television, but that was it. And then, and the rest is all Friday the 13th all the time. So
Well, I
it was
didn't know you wrote A Stranger's Watching. I didn't know that.
Strangers Watching. Well, based on a novel by
Yeah,
Mary Higgins Clark or whatever her name was. Yeah.
yeah. So that was the last thing you wrote with Sean, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'd like to see you write a comedy.
I've written a number of comedies. I wrote, before Peter Fonda died, he and I wrote a very funny comedy together.
Then you need to get that out there.
Well, unfortunately, he up and died. And Well, let's see. So we wrote a comedy. Unfortunately, it was about a president of the United States who was kind of nuts, but it was more like I don't know what Peter Sellers, that one.
Peter Sellers.
But it was that sort of thing, and it was called Dracula's Last Castle.
Hmm.
And so it combines Dracula and the President of the United States and a few other things. And so as soon as Trump, we started it before Trump ever came on the stage. And then once he was afloat, there was no way you could write around it. And then the other thing, I wrote an animated feature called Chicken Nipple Soup. And it is very funny, and it's also about how Monsanto is killing the world. But so it's a funny kind of that thing. So if you know of any animators who want to make a movie on spec, I'm your boy. So.
Oh, well, I've connected with Scott Diggs Underwood, and he does animation, and he was also several voices in Sausage Party.
Sausage Party. Don't know that one. Sounds bad.
It was the one that came out in 2016 about the food at the grocery store.
Oh, don't know that.
I'll have to send you a link. It's pretty raunchy, but that's the point. It's a Seth Rogen movie.
I do raunch. I'm old
Yep.
enough. I'm over 21.
Okay. Well, I do raunch too, but
in a previous era, people would say free white and 21.
Well, I love Fritz the cat, so I mean, I can. But no. And one more thing, we've got to get Caddy McLean to send you some cookies.
At the very least. But in the meantime, what am I doing? Oh, I've got things to do and people to see. But let's do this again. And
sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll become pen pals.
We'll become pen pals. Well, yeah. God bless you, and I hope to goodness that they get you to Horrorama sometime, in Toronto, so I could meet you in person.
Well, everything depends on the TikTok from the Supreme Court or whatever they call themselves, Court of Appeals. I don't know.
Yeah. Was that your special jingle?
No, that means somebody came to the front door.
Well, you know what? I'll with that said, I'll leave you be, and I hope you have a delightful day. And
me too.
Keep the humor going. We love comedies.
It's my wife and I have been, as I said, over a year now, just the two of us, and our kids live a mile away, but all we do is make each other laugh. That's why we've been married since 1962.
1962. There's a lot of marriages that don't last that long.
There are a lot of marriages that don't live 6 weeks.
Nope.
So,
I get my laughs with my cat who's back there sleeping.
Love it. Love cats, love dogs, and I'm out of here.
You take care. God bless you, and thank you so much for the honor.
Thank you, sir. Happy trails.
Bye-bye.